any styles you profess, would you be my guest? Happiness is a hot potato that you can't possess for long. Just pass it on like a song. I might look calm and collected at a glance, but I taste the void when I'm not connected to the world kinetic, as opposed to static. Idle hands, a workshop of a digital addict. On the hot street for inspiration is key to feed the mind in need of stimulation. Elevating music to the space station. Penthouse of stars ablazing. After 6 comes 7 and 8. Access code to the pearly gates. There's 8 heaven can wait. In the speak of fate, a finale to a play from a mate. I see the angels draw the drapes over the earthscape, where the wine is the spirit of grace. Gotta finish what we started, so I cut the state. As a Rex will stay and rotate.
My mic on? I guess so. Alright. I think this is the first time. Hey, what's up, guys? This is working. Alright. Hey, Chris. Hey, Nunal. Hello. Alright, I haven't gone live in so long. I forgot how to do it. But apparently now I'm live. Double check. Yeah, hey, I'm live. This is working. Alright. Hey, Chris. Hey, Nunal. Alright. Let's do it. Alright, so today it's a bit different. I decided to go live first time in a long time. It's just been, you know, a bunch of premieres, but I feel like we've done everything we could possibly do to this point. And actually this setup is as rock solid as any we've seen in a while. So I figured might as well just sit and wait, right? If we're hunting moose and we've got the traps laid out and we've tracked it going to and fro to a certain spot, we know with a high degree of probability it's coming back and all our bait is set. All we need to do is watch and wait, because once it comes into the trap, you know, it gets caught up, and then we just have to do whatever you do after you catch the animal and go home. So that's pretty much what this is. Not that much fresh new analysis, although I do want to talk about a few things that I'm seeing on the charts that have developed since yesterday. And I don't want to make this too long, like, you know, just one of those lives that's content qua content, like, you know, for the sake of just making content. Like, I want to hang out, but at the same time I do want to make it as valuable as possible. My pleasure, Nunel. Not Nunel says thank you so much, Dean. All right. So let's talk about what Bitcoin's doing on the smaller time frame. So larger time frame, we already said this was likely a local top for Bitcoin here. And, you know, we talked about how this was likely a zigzag 535, and this is, you know, the third wave correction. Actually, you know what? I feel like either this is the first wave, the first smaller wave of this move, or this is coming right back up because you're putting in a mini distribution channel here. Either way, I feel like Bitcoin's topped over here, and I'm not expecting much of anything more. I mean, this is more, we said this yesterday, but like, this rejection right here is more of it's more evidence to that trading thesis that, right, this is indeed a 535. You are indeed being rejected by the midline of this 90-day channel. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing with Bitcoin. Not that interesting. This stream is dedicated to the big altcoin move. If you don't know what I'm talking about, here we're looking at Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance is a measure of Bitcoin's strength vis-a-vis the rest of the cryptocurrency space. When it goes down, that means altcoins are gaining against Bitcoin. That only happens in a sustained way during what we call alt season, when actually the market goes crazy and you get massive altcoin gains. And we're actually going, let's take a quick look at the, what's it called? Crypto bubbles, just to keep an eye on what's happening. But we can already see, right? Because you're going to have some first movers, but you can already tell whether or not the market is moving using this Bitcoin dominance indicator. And so why are we so confident that we're getting this move in the immediate short term? It's because if you look at this dominance chart, it's pretty much about to break down, and after hitting that move, you're going to get this swing failure pattern. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. So on the small time frames, sure, you may get these mini intrawave corrections, but on the higher time frames, this is set. This is happening. This is a swing failure pattern if I've ever seen one. Boom, boom. That's happening. So this is what we're looking for. So we're basically just hunting that, right? And when this goes, that pretty much means our altcoins start screaming to the upside. So yeah, you can also look at the others dominance, and that's going to be a bit different. Instead of breaking down, that's going to be breaking to the upside. And if you look at this on the hourly time frame, it does look like something that wants to break to the upside. Others dominance looking like it wants to break to the upside. You can also look at the others chart itself. One sec. Let's look at the others chart. Yeah, the other chart should be looking to break up. And okay, let me just check the comments real quick. Okay, Corey says Powell is bullish. Yeah, dovish. I can't read Korean. I wish I could. My friend with the name in Korean says, "Is this the end without altcoin price increase?" I don't think so. Like, the whole purpose of my going live is tracking the altcoin increase. Yeah, let's look at, oh yeah, we're looking at others. Oh, so this is the altcoin increase, if you want to call it that I'm looking for in the immediate short term, because I don't think Bitcoin has too much longer to spend here, to be honest. Like, you're pretty much where you're going to break down from. So whatever Bitcoin's doing here, I don't think it's going to take too much longer. But in that time, you're going to get you have to get your altcoin increase. I've never seen something so close yet not happen. It's been, we've been hunting this move for so long, it seems. That's what I'm seeing. Yeah. So I think it's close. It may be today. It may be tonight. I don't know, but it's close. It's very close. And the move that I'm looking for, and that I'm looking at, and why I'm saying it's a big move. Let's just track it from where we're at right now using this others chart, okay? And remember, the others is all the charted altcoins minus the top 10 in market cap, okay? That's a really, really, really powerful indication of what's going on in the altcoin space, okay? Remember, all the altcoins that are charted minus the top 10 in market cap averaged normalized in one chart, okay? So based off of this, you should get, no, I'm gonna move this up a bit. Right here. That's a 7x, 7.5x. You should get a 7.5x. That, I know this sounds crazy, it looks crazy, but like on average, you're looking at a 7.5x. I don't even understand it, to be honest. I'm just reading it. I'm reading it. That's all I can do. I'm reading it. You should get a 7.5x in the aggregate. Now, from here, where we're at right now, that should translate to about a 4.5x. A 4.5x. So 330% move on average. That's a big move. These are the kind of moves we've been waiting for. These are the kind of moves that translate into systematic trends. Right? When you're swing trading, when you're like planning on a high time frame, this is the type of shit that you make a living off of. This is the type of shit you change your life off of. You change your kids' lives off of. Not this little stuff that we've been doing ever since. We haven't done anything. And when you read an indicator like the others, and it's telling you that you're likely to get a move, that's a 330% move. That's why I'm excited right now. Like, and that's why I'm going live, and I haven't gone live in a very long time. I don't know when the last time I went live is. Why am I saying 330%? Well, just looking at this entire 500-day channel, you're at the bottom of the channel. You just got rejected by the midline. You're going to break the channel and retest the midline as support. That's all I'm saying. And breaking the midline, the target is up here at around 1.18 trillion. Mind you, that is going to be a resistance. Zoom out for a second. Look at this. That is the resistance. There's no greater resistance in the altcoin space than the resistance that we're about to hit. So basically, what this translates to narratively is altcoins are going to go as high as they possibly can and as fast as they possibly can, and then reject off of that. It's kind of like, and I mean, this is true. Correct me if I'm wrong. Up until this point, altcoins have been downtrodden, beaten, like completely ravaged, and they finally get a breath. And as a result, it's kind of like the beach ball held underwater, and finally the person lets go. It's just going to pop up. That's what this move is. That's what that 330% is to me. Like, when I'm looking at it, technically and qualitatively. Rocky Singh says, liquidation of this size usually marks local bottoms or top. Sure. Typically, yes. Rocky Singh says, choo choo. Green Tuber Slovak says, hello, what's up, Green Tuber Slovak? Another Korean friend, maybe the same. Excuse me, guys, I can't read Korean. I wish I could. Says, altcoin up, question mark. Yes, altcoin up. Green Tuber Slovak says, what do you think of DeFi Pulse Chain? I don't do, any altcoin analyses here, That's all through mentorship, consultation service, or single asset analysis. So if you're interested in my take on any particular altcoin, just order a single asset analysis. Shoyo1C4L says, so if all goes as planned, Bitcoin will dump while alts pump at the same time. Does sound crazy. Not necessarily. And let me explain that. All right. So let's say right now, Bitcoin's kind of hovering here and it's preparing for this move down. Yeah? Let's just say that's true. So right now, Bitcoin hasn't done anything other than gone up ever so slightly, and it's at this major resistance. But still, you can see, despite that, you have, and I'm just going to open up my watch list for a second, you have some altcoins showing some sort of life. I know it's still red, so it's kind of hard to see. Let's just see. Yeah, let's look on the hourly time frame. Look at what they're doing. I'm not saying anything about any of these assets, saying this one's bullish, this one's bearish, this one's doing this one's doing that. I'm just looking at small time frame. In small time frame, you can see, all right, there's something there. These altcoins, although they haven't, pumped to Valhalla, they are showing signs of life. What I'm saying basically is I'm expecting these small hourly green candles to turn into bigger ones in the immediate short term. Okay? Again, I think it's very important, and this is one of the reasons I keep saying not all altcoins are the same. Not all altcoins are going to pump the 330%. Some, like Bitcoin, are more likely than not to just stagnate. Others may go up slightly, but not as much, and then go down much more. You have to be very careful with what you're looking at and where in the life cycle, because each and every one of these assets has a life cycle, where in the life cycle you are on these assets. And that should tell you whether or not, with a high degree of probability, you're looking at a bullish asset or you're looking at a corrective uptrend, right? So that is important. Let's have a quick look at the crypto bubbles. Okay, so crypto bubbles, just the top. Let's look at the top 100 stuff we probably know. Let's see if anything's happened. Okay, so we have COAI. I don't even know what that is. It's up 28%, but Tau up 10%. Nothing's really happened yet. It's mostly still red in the top 100. Here in the top 200, you have Wemix. I don't know what that is. I have no idea. They need to really get more creative with these altcoin names. Syrup up 10%. I think you're going to see more. So if this is accurate, based off of what we saw on the other chart, the majority of altcoins are going to be green and up at least double digits. It's not just going to be a few random ones and you're going to say that's an alt season. No. The first big move of the alt season has to take the majority of assets. That's the idea. That is the idea. BAS up 32%. Still nothing. And this is exactly what we're seeing. Except for a few exceptions here and there, nothing. Right? And this is exactly what we're seeing with this Bitcoin dominance chart. We're waiting for this break right here. Because once you break that, because we're kind of hanging out here, but once you break that, there's no other support until our target. And that is going to be the big move. That is going to be where, oh my god, it's just going to pop. So that's the idea, right? But right now, let's go on the smaller time frame. Let's go on the hourly and let's see what we're doing here. Let's turn on our stochastic RSI momentum indicator. Okay. It is very, very, very promising. Why? Impulse counter. Impulse counter. And the counters are always 1, 2, 3. Here, 1, 2, 3. So I think you're basically starting this impulse down right here. You know, nothing goes in a straight line. This is, you know, what we call a counter correction or intrawave correction. But the trend is down. Trend, counter trend, trend, counter trend. This is the big trend. And typically, you would call this, in regular technical analysis, a leading diagonal. A leading diagonal is when the initial two trends are equidistant, equisized, and then the counters are also quite basically the first trend and counter, the first two trends and first two counter trends are similar. Trend, counter trend, trend, counter trend, and then larger trend. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is extended. That's what I'm seeing. And this typically is something that you see when there's a lot of pressure against the trend. So the trend is down, but for so long, Bitcoin dominance has been up. So there's a lot of pressure against altcoins gaining against Bitcoin. But when it finally breaks, when it finally relents, then it's over. But for now, do you see, it's like against the grain. This trend is happening, but it's almost against the grain and it's working through. You get these leading diagonals when the trend is under pressure to go in the opposite direction, but it's still going to work in the direction of the trend, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm still seeing this happen. And again, not every altcoin should be expected to move the 330% from here. But I'm seeing on average 330%. I know how crazy that sounds. I know how insanely bullish that sounds, but that's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm seeing. GreenTuber Slovak says, what do you think of, oh, I already read that. GreenTuber Slovak says, how many clients do you have? Enough. GreenTuber Slovak says, how long or till do you think the alt season is going to last? That's a good question. So historically, we have had, I'll just show you really quickly. And I'm going to keep an eye on this. I don't want to make this too long. But yeah, this is good. You know, guys, keep asking questions and I will answer as best I can. So if you look, let's go on the master chart for Bitcoin. Okay, master chart for Bitcoin pretty much is Bitcoin from, you know, 0 cents or a penny. And if you really identify what a bull market is, you've only had two previous ones, okay? Two previous ones. The first was at the outset, right? In 2010, this is your bull market right here, okay? And that was something that lasted about 500 days, okay? Now, the second one, I would say, happened right about here in 2011. And that you get about 750 days. 750 days. So in Bitcoin, I think you had 3 bull markets. In altcoins, you had 2, generally speaking. In Bitcoin, you had 3, right? Because 2010, straight off the bat, you go into a bull market from 0 cents all the way to the high of about $30 around there. And like I said, 500 days thereabouts. And then again in 2011, soon after, you get another one, but that's about 750 days. So 500 days, let's just put it in really quickly. And this is a bull market. When you try and say any up into the right price action is a bull market, be very careful. This is what we're talking about, a bull market going from $0 to $30. That's a bull market. That is, you know, the type of increase. Look at that percentage gain. That's the type of increase you would call exponential growth. That's a bull market. That's pure impulsive price action. That's, wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, never retracing beyond 62% of the previous impulse to the upside. The second one, we said 750 days. Again, actual bull market. You go from about $2.80 all the way to $1,150. Okay, another bull market. Again, remember what I'm saying. Like, it's not going from 16K to 126K. That's like, yes, the numbers are bigger, but like, think about the increase. Bull markets are not just any up and to the right price action, they're exponential growth, exponential increases. Okay, so that is, I would say, your first 2. And then your third and last in Bitcoin was from $162 more or less to about $22,000. That's, again, look at the bull markets. So you have 500 days, 750 days, 850 days. That's 3 bull markets in Bitcoin. Okay, now you can say, oh, but here's another increase. Oh, diminishing returns. Like, that's, if you don't know how to read a chart, you think that's a diminishing return. It's called a B wave, or a counter correction in a flat correction. That is not an impulse. Okay, so 2020 was not an actual bull market in a pure sense. It didn't give you pure impulsive price action. It gave you a running flat. Okay, and obviously anybody who says this is a bull market will soon understand that it wasn't. Just because you went from 16K to 126K, you cannot compare anything. You can't compare this to that. It's just not even in the same category. And I don't know, not everybody's, Steve, or not Steve. I was gonna say Steve Nash, but the Fields laureate, Professor Nash. You don't have to be some Russian scientist or some Russian mathematician to figure out that 16K to 126K is not the same thing as going from $0 to $30, or going from $2.50 to $1,150, or going from $250 all the way to $22,000. Like, do the math. You can't just call any up into the right price action a bull market, and it's easier to tell when you zoom out for a second and you look at things on a properly a properly laid out chart, and you can see exactly where you had the bullish impulses. You had 3 of them, and the question was, should it last? How long should it last? Should it last a year or whatever? Well, we don't know. But we know in the past it's lasted 500 days, 750 days, 850 days. So maybe you add those and you take the average. I don't know. But in any case, every single time we've had a proper bull market with Bitcoin, we've lasted more than a year. Sometimes a year and a half. thereabouts. A year to 2 years, I would say. That's my best answer. But I can't say that, oh, I know exactly how long it's going to last. No. I hope that answers the question. Um. Oh yeah. So the idea, Green Tuber Slovak was, so alt season is essentially, if you think about it, it's the Bitcoin bull market, or it's in and around the Bitcoin bull market, because Bitcoin is indeed the catalyst and the trendsetter. So Bitcoin right now is ending its bear market. If you really think about it, if you really think about it, it's ending its bear market, and it's going to end it in a way that most altcoins just ended their bear markets. So you just saw a nasty 80 to 90% move in altcoins, yeah? And everybody thinks, oh, that's it. That's the end of the bull market, where, you know, if you're paying attention, if you have a pulse, if you've been in the space for, I don't know, the past few months, few years, you know that altcoins haven't done anything for a long time. So it's impossible that that was the end of their bull market, because there are no such bull markets to end. Now, why is this very promising? Because everybody's like, oh, altcoins are like the worst kind of analysis that you see on the back of what happened on October 10th is, you see, I told you, altcoins are worthless. Nobody likes them. I don't like them, so nobody likes them. And Bitcoin went down. What? Bitcoin went down marginally. How much did Bitcoin go down on October 10th? Bitcoin went down 16%, and altcoins went to the shadow realm. They went down 90%, 100%, some of them. That means they're worthless. That is horrible analysis. And I'll tell you why. Watch this. So going back to the chart of Bitcoin's, life cycle, look at what happens before every single bull market. Look at what happens. And you can say 3 bull markets. I think this is one contiguous bull run. But look at what happens before every single big impulse. You have these big moves to the downside. You call them capitulative flushes or deleveraging events. They precede every strong move up. This was a massive deleveraging event, right? That happened in September of 2010, October of 2010, almost the same time as ours did in altcoins. And that went all the way from, Bitcoin was 18 cents and went all the way down 94%, all the way down to a penny. That's a massive deleveraging event. Before you go, so basically, Bitcoin went up to 18 cents, went all the way down to a penny, and then rocketed up to $30. Do you see? Before you get these moves, price typically has these happen. And what is this deleveraging event? If you study it, and don't just limit yourself to Bitcoin, go into gold, go into silver, go into the S&P, go into any markets that you can find, that you can get your hands on, that you can do back testing on, you will see most markets show that capitulative flush to wipe out order books. Remember, we always look at CoinGlass and we look at these pockets of liquidity. It's basically price feeding on the liquidity and deciding to move up, closing CME gaps, deciding to move up. It's a normal, natural phenomenon. It's not weird. It's not manipulation. It's what price action does. Before running up in one direction or running down in one direction, it usually goes in the opposite direction and gives you what Ralph Nelson Elliott would call the C wave, which is the final wave of the correction. That capitulative flush signifies or demarcates that correction, whatever correction it was in, is now complete. So you want to look and see you can, let's see if we can find another one. You have a small one here, okay? You came up, you corrected, and then in that correction, you went up from, this is not a massive one, but it's still an important one. You can see it here. You went from $2 up to $3.83, all the way back down to $2. That wasn't a big one. It's 48%. But that basically signified the end of this mini accumulation, and then you started going. Always going in the opposite direction, and then boom. So you see that. All right, that happened right there. And you saw that here again, where you were trading at $311, and then you did that capitulative flush and came all the way down to $162. So again, you came down significantly from 300 and whatever to 162. That's again a 50% move to the downside, and that then catapults you into the next bull run for Bitcoin. Every single time. Even this mini bull run in 2020, everybody says, oh, it was only because of COVID. This never happens. That just proves people don't study charts. Because if you study charts, you'll see Bitcoin going from 10,000 all the way down to 3,800 was the deleveraging event that took it down 67%. And then you had that mini 2020 bull run, which was, again, just, this is all a B wave. This is not pure correction. This is an A, B, C flat correction. In any case, the idea of moving down quickly and a lot before moving back up is normal. And it's exactly what you should expect before any actual bull run. And we're expecting that again with Bitcoin coming down from where it's at right now, all the way down to this level around 55, 56, 55 to 60K. And that would be a 50% move, which is very much in line with what you've seen historically. So the idea, what am I mentioning that is because when you look at alt season and you say, oh, altcoins are so worthless, and people say, oh, look at what altcoins did. Any serious asset shouldn't capitulate. It's not, first of all, people say they conflate maturity with volatility. And they do this because they don't know that the S&P is completely manipulated. But once it starts regaining a natural movement, which it will, because all markets eventually normalize and return to, they return to a normalized natural state. So you're going to see a lot of volatility there. It has nothing to do with the fact that people don't think it's valuable. Big crashes are normal. But S&P, you don't get much of any volatility because it's been engineered for you not to get it. So people think volatility means it's not a mature or serious, worthwhile asset. And so they think, oh, altcoins are so unserious. They're too volatile. Bitcoin's too volatile. That's a misunderstanding of markets, a fundamental misunderstanding of markets. The other thing I'll say is when you see altcoins do what they did on October 10th, it should get you really excited, not on all altcoins, but on altcoins in general, and for the idea of alt season, because that's exactly what you should expect before a big move up. Again, you look at a chart like this others chart, and you look at the past 500 days of price action, and if you really read it, this is a flat correction. It's probably a WXYXZ, a 333, and that is the final capitulative flush, or the final impulsive move. That basically signifies the end of this correction and the start of that move. So this is why I'm saying alt season should last around as long as Bitcoin's bull market lasts, and Bitcoin's towards the end of his bear market, but altcoins are actually front running Bitcoin's bull market. If you really think about it and you look at it carefully, that's what's happening right now. All right. Let's keep going. All right. Dean, Nunal Sapa says, Dean, kind of a personal question, if you don't mind. How long did it take you to become consistently profitable? Also, did you study under a mentor? Thank you so much again. Yeah. It took me a while before minimizing big losses. It took me a while. Years. But I wouldn't say that everybody's the same. It really depends on what you're trading, your trading style. It depends on what your goals are, how you're sizing up or down. It depends on the market phase you're in. You know, some people start trading in the middle of a bull market. Other people start trading in the middle of a bear market. So I wouldn't put too much emphasis on how long things take, because if you really think about the cycles of markets, they're so long and drawn out. It really depends where you start. If you start in the middle of a bear market and you're, for instance, a swing trader or position trader, good luck. You're probably not going to be profitable until you get out of that bear market. But if you're a scalp trader and you're in the middle of a bear market, you probably can reach profitability faster. Everybody's wired a bit differently. Don't compare yourself. Just try your best. And I did have a mentor, but he reached out to me, Jack Schwager from the Trading Wizards series. And I don't know why he reached out to me. I still, to this day, don't know why he reached out to me. But even before he reached out to me, I studied his work. You know, you should study the Market Wizards books. It's for all traders in all markets. And it's pretty much an anthropological study on the psychology of what it takes to be a good trader through all kinds of different trading styles and mentalities. You know, you have swing traders, you have scalp traders, you have position traders, you have institutional traders, you have, you know, family office traders, you have you have every kind of trader that he interviews. You have people who only go long, people who only go short, people who only do fundamental analysis, people who only do technical analysis, people who only counter trade, right? All kinds. And so try and see what they have in common that, you know, leads them to profitability. And then see where also a lot of luck is involved, despite the skill. Because some of the best traders in the world, they go on streaks and they can't explain why. They're in a funk, so on and so forth. You know, Sapa says, you don't need to do any of this at all, yet you continue to do so much to educate us newbies. I enjoy it. That's why I do it. My pleasure. Dylan, hey. Fossology says, what about the fact that October is historically one of the best months for Bitcoin dominance? Again, seasonality in crypto means nothing. Just think about it from basic statistics. What's your, you know, sample size? What are you basing this off of? Seasonality makes sense when you have 100+ years to go off of, and then statistically your data is significant, right? Bitcoin's been around for about 15 years, trading for 12 years, altcoins even less. Altcoins 5, 6, 7 years. The oldest altcoins are 8, 9 years old. There's no such thing as any seasonality. It just doesn't make any sense. Think about that. Daniel Villanueva says, what ticker? Or what is Pulse? Oh, okay, never mind. Dylan says, basically 1.18 trillion would be a good time to sell altcoins. I think so. All right, let's go back and see what the hell is going on with Bitcoin and with altcoins, and let's not take much more time because I do have to be somewhere. All right, let's see, dominance, what's it doing? Still hanging out. All right, let's see. Right here is where I'm really focused. This right here. If this indeed is an impulse to the downside, and this is the counter, should expect something in the immediate short term, in the next hour, that to find resistance and that to finally break down. That's what I'm looking at. Guys, I don't want to make this too long. Hope this was helpful, useful. Like, share, and subscribe if you got value. Consider the crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation where you can trade directly with me. Also, if you're interested in just getting my take on one asset, one indicator, whatever, you want me to analyze one thing and you don't want to trade an entire portfolio with me, that's a single asset analysis service. Just $120, pay with any of the 4 methods of payment that I typically post in my videos and in my description, and then email me whatever you want me to look at and I'll look at that for you. You should have it within 24 hours of ordering. All right, take care. Bye.